Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. Thank you so much for joining me. It is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, so here I am yet again. Monday evening, Ask Me Anything. Of course, happy. You know what I'm going to ask you for first, though. Please like, comment, share. I'm always going to ask you to like, comment, share. It does matter. People have to know that we are out there making things happen. It does matter. If you want to support my sponsors, please go ahead. If you like CBD products, I hope you do. Heading over to grownselection.com, run by Libertarian, make a purchase, put Sharpe Way 20 on that, get 20% off. You like your powders, your creams? Go ahead, right there for you. Right now, we need respect more than ever. How do you figure that one out? Head over to theadvocates.org, take the human respect tests. Yes, there's a link up here in the notes here. Please do me a favor, click on that, take that test, pass it around. We could use some respect, that's for sure. If you want to support the show directly, please feel free. Patreon.com/SharpeWay, $10, $25, $100. You got tons of money, throw it all at me. If you got tons, if you don't, a couple bucks will work. If not, no worries. Just like, comment, share. That's free. There are so many things I wanted to bring up today. So many things I wanted to talk about. But I guess the number one thing I want to bring up is when bad things happen, like the DC protests and riots, the thing that most people rush for always is how do we make sure it never happens again? And then they go right to let's use violence and defense to make that happen. Number one, the idea of it never happening again is pretty stupid. There's always going to be something like this. Always. You can't stop everything. So just that entire question's dumb. And second, the best way of defense against something like this is people not wanting to do it. That's the best defense. If we change our environment to where this seems silly or dumb or won't work or whatever, or it doesn't feel like the last answer, people won't do it. Now, many of you on the right were angry at me because I didn't immediately, during the summer, all the summer riots and protests, I didn't immediately condemn them all and tell them all they're horrible. And you got mad at me because when those kids were killed, I didn't immediately condemn everybody. A lot of you were mad at me. But I feel the same way now. What happened in DC was wrong. Of course it was. The summer riots and the burning of the building was wrong. Of course it was. I just had empathy for them then and for them now. When people do this, it's because they believe it's the only option, the right choice. Clearly it's not. Clearly that's wrong. But it's bad. And I said back then in the summer, I said, you don't just want to put everybody in jail. You don't just want to have more cops. That isn't the only answer. Let's make some change. This too. Putting up a fence around the Capitol doesn't stop people from being angry. Punishing them all, put them all in jail. That doesn't stop people from being angry. Does it mean no one should be punished? Of course not. If there's a ringleader who went there to do something bad, and I'm sure there were, punish those people or person, whatever that might be. Of course, the same with the people in the summer. If there's ringleaders out there trying to do bad stuff, get them, absolutely 100%. But the more we make this mass punishment, the more we do this, particularly in the case of the summer riots, the more they punish. See, cops are bad. They won't change. That was the narrative, right? Of course. I got to defund them now. Now what's the narrative? If you start punishing people, what's the narrative now from the opposite side? See, this is what we talked about. Suppressing us, silencing us. It plays into the narrative and makes things worse. Mass punishment makes things worse. I've been saying this forever. I've been saying this for literally years. I've been saying this. And again, it's happening again. And the first action is a knee-jerk reaction that is not going to make things better. But Larry, this is different. I hear it all the time. Larry, this one's different. Okay, yeah. For them, it's different because the elites got their house invaded. So for them, it's different. But for us, it's another example of now the right be revolting where it was the left revolting last time, right? And the right exaggerated and said, it was a takeover, blah, blah. And the left now said, oh my God, it's a coup. It wasn't a coup. It was a riot. It was violence. Yes, it wasn't a coup. That's not what it was. You want to know what a coup is? Ask Turkey. They'll tell you what a coup is. Ask the Russians, 93, when they're firing artillery into the White House. That's a coup. This was a bad riot. But again, they exaggerated when it came to the summer. They're exaggerating now, and they're making things worse. It's not helpful. It's not going to make things better. Now you might say, well, Larry, this is different. It's not different. Imagine, if you would, an environment where, give or take, I don't know, 25% of your population, not here, but just imagine, if you would, 25% of your population is actively engaged in a civil war, and they're using brutality like hatchets and knives and killing other people from the same country who are different for some reason, killing them. Now this war is over, and you got to unite that country. You might say, well, Larry, arrest all the people who were bad. No, that's Rwanda in the 90s. I think it was 1 million people killed over, and most of them with hatchets and machetes, horribly killed. What are you going to do? Put half of your population in jail? That'll solve the problem. No. You try to rebuild, of course. And that's far worse what happened here. Far worse. But that's a way where they didn't just go put everybody in jail. French mutiny of the French army, 1917. I'm going back a couple years now, about 100, right? They start revolting. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Frenchmen revolt. They're mutiny. They're shooting their own officers. They won't attack. The mutiny was so bad during World War I, the Germans didn't believe it. They thought it can't be this bad. They literally ignored it and didn't attack. If the Germans had attacked when the French mutiny in 1917, the Germans could have just literally walked to Paris. They didn't believe it was so bad. So, of course, what did the French do? Crush everybody? No. The French brought a popular general back who had respect of everyone. They did punish some people, like 24 people were hanged, which is bad, but I mean, they were literally shooting officers in the trenches. So those guys you got to get rid of. I got it. But that was about it. They then began to heal. We can't go on mass punishment. It doesn't work. And the stuff we dealt with last week was nowhere near as bad as Rwanda or a French military mutiny. Not even close to that. Our own civil war. Far worse than both of those, in our eyes, for sure. You don't just go, okay, and you don't just go punish everybody. You find the right way of handling these issues. I hope we can figure this out. I think we can't. I've been saying that forever. I think we can't. But not just that. This was predictable, as I said before, and preventable, as I've said before. Cancel culture right now, which is coming up, I get the warm, fuzzy feeling about cancel culture. It feels good. I took this guy down. I get the warm, fuzzy feeling. And man, is that going to back off. And you people on the left got mad at me. So remember when all the people on the right started going to Parler? And I said, I'm going to Parler too. People on the left said, oh, you're going to go over there and talk to you people on the right? Yes. Yes. That was exactly my plan, to keep talking to everyone. Yes, that was exactly my plan. And that's what I was doing until Parler got shut down. So now what does that do? We shut down Parler. Now all the crazy right-wingers are gone now. No, they're not. Hasn't changed anything. If anything, it's reinforced the narrative that cancel culture is bad, that cancel culture is crushing everybody, which it is. So now you're reinforcing the narrative. You're making sure they hate you even more. If you're on the right, and you wonder why so many people on the left and going left, and America has been going left for at least a decade, you wonder why they didn't just jump on the Trump train because he was the rebel. Because Trump was mean. That's what he was. And you might not like the other, but he was a mean guy. I know lots of Republicans don't like him. They supported him because they hated the left, but they didn't think he was a nice guy. They was a mean guy. They didn't like him. You might go, that doesn't matter. It does matter. Emotions matter. You on the left. Well, how can people support Trump? Oh my God, he's a horrible guy. Because you're mean and nasty too. You're both mean and nasty to each other. Why would I support you if you're mean and nasty to me? Yeah. The right has Trump calling people. Remember when Trump won the election? Oh my God, every guy on the right who's a Trump fan yelling, suck it, you're president. Remember that? I remember that stuff. And now when Trump loses, all the left going, ha, 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 ha. That's not helpful. When the side wins, if you want to actually heal, you have to be magnanimous. I know what was done last week was bad. What I'm saying is, if we just go to mass punishment, if we don't deal with the issues, this is not going away. Over a year ago, I was talking about the sporadic violence that was going to happen after November. If you remember, if you've been paying attention, I've been saying this for literally a year. And it wasn't a maybe or if or there might be. If you remember what I said there will be. I wasn't hedging my bets. I wasn't saying I don't know. I said it doesn't matter who wins. There will be sporadic violence after November. I said it more than once, at least 25 times at least. I said it when I was on campaign, the whole time in New York, almost every time I said it. There will be sporadic violence. Totally predictable. And here it is. And we're not ready for it. I figured it out. No one else could, right? I'm the smartest guy in America. No, I'd love to be, but I'm not. They didn't do anything about it. They couldn't even imagine this, what I've been talking about for a year. Now I'm saying it again. We can't be vindictive and do mass punishments. These mass punishments are going to hurt more than they're going to help. They're going to make things worse. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Elvis Costello from the 70s. It was right then. It's right now. Let me grab a couple comments. I'm sure people are saying a lot of stuff here. I want to grab some of this if I can. So, Larry, rise of Technocrats. How do we stay alive in social media? It is, yes, John, it's a problem. I completely agree. The one of the things that we have to be concerned about is trying not to be so mean. Right? I'm worried about being canceled too, right? I have the word libertarian in my name. Maybe I should pull that down so I don't get canceled also. I'm concerned about it. I am, right? I might get canceled too. And then how am I going to keep my voice going? They have already shut us down on media. I mean, you hardly ever hear libertarians in media. And now how are you going to hear us in social media? It's a problem. But the answer is keep talking. Yes, keep talking. That's brave. Can I ask you anything? Yes, you can. Yes, absolutely. You can thank the Capitol rioters for Joe Biden's future effort to pass a federal domestic terrorism law. Thanks, shitbirds. Sadly, you are correct. This is what will always happen, right? You see it already. When there's a crisis, instead of saying, oh, a crisis. Oh, my God, we have a problem. Let's fix our problem. No. Double down on violence. Double down on violence. That's the wrong answer, but Jonathan, you're correct. What they should have said is, and some people may not realize this, there were cops that were on the side of the rioters, of the protesters. There were military people. There's people who are going to be facing court-martial because they were active duty military and they were doing it. Now you might go, those guys are traitors, put them all in jail. I get why you would think that, but maybe you should be thinking, why the hell would they do that? Why would cops be taking selfies with people who are storming the Capitol when they're Capitol Police? Why would cops be okay? Why would a bunch of cops be okay? Why would military members be part of this? That's the more important question than how can we punish these guys? Now, look, if there was a military member who was sitting there saying, I'm going to go here and I'm going to attack and or kill, I don't know this. If that's true, if there was one who was saying that person needs to be punished. No question. You should, as an active member of the military, there's no way in the world you should be saying, you know what I should do? Go attack and put violence upon some congressman who I'm supposed to be supporting. No, that you can't do. Showing up, showing up is, in my views, not a crime. However, remember something. For those who are active duty, if you've been active duty, when you're active duty, you surrender many of your rights. Your First Amendment rights is one of them. If you are active duty, you do surrender that right. Your freedom of movement, you surrender that also. You will go where the government tells you to go. So you surrender some of those. But all they're going to do, instead of doing what I'm saying, which is, oh my God, this is that bad that we have this happening. How dare they put up more walls, put up more barriers, hire more cops, fire the people who are in charge, because that works. Just fire people. That works because when you fire somebody, the first thing they think of is, wow, I feel so good. I've learned my lesson. No, they don't. They think, man, these people are jerks, to hell with them all. Let's put 3,000 people in jail. Because you know what jail does to people? It makes them all repentant and become great people. No, for the people who are racists and horrible people, they become worse in jail. And for those who aren't, they just become bad people, apathetic. You've just made stuff worse, and all their family and friends hate you more. This was nothing but a bad idea. And that's my point. All of this violence is useless. All of it. is useless. All it does is make things worse. We're not getting better by the violence. The way we get better, talk. I know it sounds so cheesy. I know it sounds so dumb. I know it does. And many of you get mad at me when I say it, but that's what actually works. When you actually change people's minds. When people go, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. Don't do that. Now we start winning. But you're right, Jonathan. This is just going to be more gun control, guaranteed. More gun control, more surveillance state. Yes, all the things that those people were against, they just increased. Absolutely, yes. So, all right. Is it time to panic now that Facebook bans Ron Paul? I think they're going to let him come back. That, I think, was a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not saying it was the right idea. It was a terrible idea. But I think most people on Facebook, the average person, doesn't actually know who Ron Paul is. They actually don't know the average. The average 25-year-old doesn't even know who Ron Paul is. So they just saw, oh, he said this thing. He must be bad. Let's ban first and ask questions later. And that goes back to cancel culture and zero tolerance. When you have cancel culture and zero tolerance, if I have it as, should I ban or should I not? I always err on the side of banning, of course. Because if I don't ban and something goes wrong, then I'm fired. Then my career is over. This is another way of cancel culture screwing us all over. When that happens, they ban. So somebody probably said, isn't that Ron Paul, that crazy libertarian guy? Someone probably said that. The person didn't know and went, oh, ban. We'll deal with it later. I don't want to lose my job. I'd rather ban him and not get fired than not ban him. Something bad happened and I get fired because cancel culture. This is cancel culture right here. I don't think it's 1984. I mean, it is by default, but not on purpose. Cancel culture is destroying us. Destroying us. Bill, yes, that's exactly my point. I do believe they're going to give it back to him. I could be wrong on this, but I believe it's going to come back. I think someone just said ban everyone we could possibly think of banning first, worry about everything later. It's also a bandwagon thing, right? Now it's like, oh, who could ban more people? See? I've been telling a lot of people for a long time, and many of you thought I was kidding. There's a woke off going on in America. A woke off. Who can be more woke than the other? So Twitter's banning this guy. I'll ban even more. Oh, I'll ban even more. See, I'm woker than you. There's a lot of that going on too. This is only hurtful. It's not helping at all. And I would ask for those of you on the left, when you were so mad at the right slamming, attacking, calling you names in the summer, I would ask you don't become what you decided was so wrong and evil and bad then. You don't become what you condemned, and you show some to them now. And if those of you are right, you know what you were doing. Don't do the same thing now either, right? Let's try to be better if we can. How about some understanding? When it was the summer, everyone was talking about MLK's statement. I'm gonna misquote it, but it's something like rioting is the voice of the unheard, or some phrase like that. I may have gotten it off, but it's something like that. Well, it was in the summer, and it was last week too. It doesn't change because the political side changed. It's the same. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Why are we still using Facebook? They're blatantly telling you they hate you. Because it works, Pete. That's the reason why. I was on Parler too. I'm on MeWe, Parler, YouTube, Twitch. I'm about to be on Steam It. I'm going on all of them. They're going to have to ban me on like 9 platforms. Fine. Then they'll ban me on 9. I'll keep going until eventually hopefully I build up a website big enough that people can just go to my website. We'll hope that's going to work. Yes. Violence promotes more violence. 100% yes. Gandhi said it. An eye for an eye, and we all go blind. I'm going to pass. Did the idiots that spread crap in the Capitol building carry it around in Ziploc bags all day, or did they drop deuce live on scene? That's a good question. One would assume they would have done it live. You carry it and then maybe knock it in. Then it smells. It breaks. You're pushing stuff. Probably on site, I would assume. So I don't know if that's relevant, but interesting question. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can go here. Praise Janus, the god of January, the two-faced god, a symbol of new beginnings. I hope so, Mr. Vogel. I hope that's true. Yes. Facebook does not owe anyone a platform, but it ought to explain the new content rules. Not just that, Pete. Not just that. See, here is my problem with all of the platforms, no matter what. They just ban with no recourse. There's no recourse. There's no answer. There's no nothing. It's just gone. That's I lost my Facebook page for my company NeoSage years ago. I was so angry I wouldn't go back on Facebook. I had put thousands of dollars into promoting that page, building my business up, and they just said, "Oh, you're spamming, gone." No warning, no. And I responded, "What was I? How could I spam?" And for those of you who don't know, I don't sell a product, right? I sell services. So there's no product to buy. You can't click and buy. And mine goes to large businesses in general. Like the individual doesn't go and go, "Oh, I want a NeoSage book or something." It's not how it works. So I physically couldn't spam. And I thought like an idiot. This is probably 2013, I'm guessing, in that area. I, like an idiot, wrote a whole naive, wrote a whole letter. "Oh, this can't happen, blah, blah, blah." No response. Go to hell. Goodbye. Thousands of dollars in the garbage. Again, you're right. Facebook didn't owe me that. But Facebook did owe me an explanation because I put thousands of dollars into their company. They owed me an explanation. They did owe me a response. They did owe me some appeals process. And that's what they owe, particularly when companies and people put thousands of hours and time. And remember, the next thing, if I put all this time into your platform, you're making money off me. So you can give me a response. You can give me an appeal process. That's the problem that I have with this. It's just, we don't like you, gone. That's my biggest issue. So yes. All right. The greatest champion of peace in American history is now being deplatformed. Again, I hope he will come back. I really do. I hope they will come back. Why are there so many videos of them being invited into the Capitol? Yeah, this is the thing that I was talking about, Bill. Sadly, there were a lot of people who were there who were on board. Police officers, military members who were on board with this entire protest. My gut says they didn't think this through. And most don't, right? Most don't. It wasn't that organized. They didn't think it through. They didn't think that this was going to go that way. If those guys actually thought, "Hey, we'll go through the Capitol, take dumps and spread poop around and trash the place, and it'll screw Trump over and make him have to back off and make him and Pence fight and make all these bad things happen and create more of a police state," they wouldn't go, "Great idea." They didn't think that. They clearly thought that what they were doing was going to work. Like, I hate to say it, but like a lot of people who do, violent acts, they all hope it is the spark that starts the revolution. They all hope that. And sadly, it just rarely is true. The country just isn't there yet. And the problem is we're all in our bubbles and we think they are. I get libertarians all the time. Libertarians will constantly go, "You don't understand, Larry. The country's hungry for freedom." No, it isn't. No. And someone right now who's libertarian listening is like, "What? Of course it is." It's not. That is a story we tell ourselves in our own bubble. The country is not starving for freedom. It's not. It believes it's free already. I know it sounds crazy, but it believes it's free. Now, of course, it doesn't mean everybody, but the majority do. The majority just wish they had a better king. I know it sounds horrible, but it's true. So it's a bigger problem. So anger and violence is a component of being human. We are not robots. Yes, right. I always say this: any system that you create should expect that if it has humans in it, there will be errors and flaws and mistakes. And the system you create, whatever that is, business, home, government, insert place, doesn't matter. If it has humans in it, it's the same, needs to be flexible enough to deal with flawed humans. And sadly, we think that we can make rules and legislate our way to perfection. Jonathan, we can't. It's impossible. This is my whole point. It's impossible. You can make a better environment. Yes, you can. You can't make it. You can't make it perfect. It just doesn't work. Yes. So March 16th, the 1-year anniversary of 15 days to slow the spread is approaching. Yeah, we're almost there, Pete. Almost there. What he meant is 15 days after the 16th. March 16th, 2022. He just didn't tell you what year. That's what it was, Pete. He didn't tell you what year. That's it. Yes. So, what is the libertarian answer to the tech oligarchy? Yes, there absolutely is one, right? A lot of people think that, oh, libertarians like big business. Not at all. Not at all. No, it's not what libertarians are about. There is absolutely a place in the market for big business, medium-sized businesses, small businesses, solopreneurs, for everything, franchises. There's a place in the market for all of those things. Oligarchy happens when there's government. That's how that works, because government and big business get together and then boom, that's what happens, right? The best way to deal with tech oligarchy is, without question, make a safe playing field for people to pop up and come up. Sadly, we don't have that. With our banking system, it doesn't work that way. With our tax system, it doesn't work that way. Everything right now makes it where if any of you are involved in entrepreneurship now, sadly, the way it's been working is because of how we raise money. Almost only way you do it is you either try to create an oligarchy yourself or you get bought by an oligarchy, right? Back in the day, 30 years ago, 20 years, 15 years ago even, if you created some kind of online product, whatever it was, people would only invest in you if you had money coming in, right? I sell glasses, and okay, you've got clients and glasses are being sold. So awesome. That's how that works. Glasses are being sold. Great. How many glasses you got? Boom, we raise money. That's not the case anymore. The case now is very simple. How many users do you have? That's it. How many eyeballs do you have? That's what matters. You guys don't make any money. So someone comes in and gives you $10,000, $20,000, $3,000 to start your business, right? Whatever it is. Boom, you get that money. That angel investor comes in. Life is good, but boom. Now venture capital guy comes in and goes, I like that. How much you want for it? The guy who's the angel investor says, I want $250 for it. He pays him $250. That investor now takes $100,000 for himself. He just doubled his money. He puts $150 back into the company, walks away. That's how you grow the company there. That company now went $50,000 to $150,000. Now they start growing the company to the next level. Now some private equity guy jumps in and goes, woo, that's great. How much you want for it? He goes, I need $500,000, $500,000 for it. $500,000 he gets for it. He doubles his money, puts his $200 in his pocket, and $700 goes to them, and they keep going. $600 goes to them, and they keep going. $800, right? Keeps going. And that's how it keeps going. No one's making any money. All of the investors are making money on the transaction, not on the actual product. And the goal is either get so many people on board for free that everyone uses your product, so now you start charging, and they have no choice because they all use it, oligarchy, or you sell it to an oligarchy. Google buys it, Amazon buys it, any of those things. Most of that's because of how money is put together. You've got to change the lending institutions and the way that people raise money. You do that, and that will begin to open up the playing field for junior partners who can come up and become strong. I hope that, a little detailed. I apologize for being too detailed, but that's one of the biggest issues that we have right now. Changing that, I think that's it. So, all right. I'm not sure what's fair, Jim, but I hope it was me. Thank you. Yes. How do you feel about Comrade Cuomo's recent reversal on opening the economy back up? The timing's rather ironic, right on schedule. Yeah, it's funny. Now, all of a sudden, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, oh, Hillary King, all of a sudden now he's like, well, we've got to open up. There's going to be no economy left. I told you that a year ago. You've decided to destroy everything. This goes back to the last guy, the libertarian memes guy, who said, how do you deal with oligarchy? How do you fix it? Not by doing this. Government made sure oligarchies survive and franchises and the small businesses went to the garbage. Yeah, too late is how I feel about that. Look, I shouldn't say too late. Better late than never. I'll say that. Better late than never. That's what I'll say. But man, well, the worst part is, will the media go, see how enlightened he is? I really hope they won't. I really hope they realize that the pain was his fault. Not just that, the vaccine, his fault. It's a disaster. For those of you who are like, oh my God, the vaccines, they're not going on. I want my vaccine. I gave you the answer. This is what I told you so. All of those drugstores, the CVS's, Walgreens, even local drugstores, they all have records of people who get vaccines, right? Number of people get vaccines. Maybe not the actual people, but the number. How many did you sell last week, how many did you give out last month, whatever. They know. Take those numbers, link it to the ages within the census. You have a good idea of how many people are going to want to get that vaccine. It's not a crazy, an actuary could figure this out in a day. I'm not even joking. In a day, an actuary can sit down, look at the data, and figure out in a day. Then give that number of vaccines that you have compared relatively to those stores and say, if you are over 75, period, I don't care where you work or how you work or ID, that entire idea is stupid. Just go 75 years old or older, go. You have 2 weeks or a week or whatever. Insert time period here, right? Go. Now, also, you then wait and go, all right, now next 2 weeks, everyone is 65 years older. Go. Now come back for your second ones. Go. It's that simple. Florida's doing a great job. That's what Florida did. That's what you do. And you rotate through until, and you just keep picking up the vaccines, the same percentages. If the percentages change or adjust, you just watch it on a daily, weekly basis, and you can move and shift the vaccines on the second fly, right? The second wave, you put more here, less there, done. This is not rocket science at all. It's because they had to have minutia control and not just say, if you want the vaccine and you're over 75, get it. Over 65, go get it. But Larry, what about nursing homes? Nursing homes also get prescriptions and vaccines. Those local places, pharmacies, where they get them from. So they would know that. So have the pharmacy go to the nursing homes. If you're over 75, you get it. Next week, you're over 65, you get it. Not rocket science at all. So Cuomo screwed up that. Cuomo screwed up everything. I'm sorry, you got me going off on him, and I'm going to talk for an hour about that. So, yes. All right. Ron Paul speaks against war, against violation of civil liberties, and against intrusive government. Absolutely. And can't have that, can we, Pete? Please. So, yes. People want to talk Trump censorship, don't want to acknowledge and didn't speak up that Joe Jorgensen wasn't allowed in the presidential debates. The 15% polling thing was bogus because she wasn't even included in the polls before the debates. Yeah, that was never going to happen. I agree. And I'm hoping, we can hope, Michael, that there'll be enough people who will have seen that and will want to give us more attention. I hope that's true. I'm unsure that it's true, but you're totally right. I hope more people will see it and realize maybe we shouldn't have blown these libertarians off so much. Maybe we should at least heard them, right? Maybe we should have. It might have changed a lot. And it also takes away just the straight left-right paradigm. And you're seeing that happening now with Trump supporters. You know, Trump supporters are basically broken into about 3 different groups. One, people who really love Trump. And there's a bunch of people who really love Trump. They love him. They think he's awesome. They love him. Then there's a bunch who just go, yeah, he's all right. He'll do. I'm a Republican. I'll fine. I don't like Democrats. I'll vote Trump. Then there's a chunk who are like, I don't care. I'm just scared of socialism. Trump is not socialist. I'm in. Right? That's your 3 groups. How many of those are going to break off? I don't know. For sure, the first part will break off. They'll find someone else to be the anti-socialist guy. That group will break off. The other 2 are the ones I'm unsure, right? Well, Republican Party right now is abandoning him. So I think a chunk of those will leave also. So we are going to have a bunch of people. You know, Trump is not going to be as powerful as he has been at all. I think that part's true. Who knows how powerful he'll be, though? But it won't be that. So, all right. Oh, how I wish you were POTUS. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Would be amazing. I do appreciate that. Yes. So, riots from either side give government officials a drive to implement authoritarian procedures. Yes, absolutely yes. And that's my issue, right? I don't mean to be negative on this piece, but to be forward. Can anyone remember the last time that mass protest did anything? I know it sounds horrible to say. I'm asking a serious question. I don't remember. Not my lifetime. I mean, we protest the wars against Iraq. Massive protest. Millions of people. Didn't change. We protested Occupy Wall Street. Was it months? Didn't change anything. We protested police brutality. Nothing. Protest screwed up voting system. Nothing. Nothing. They don't work. People always get mad. Larry, why aren't you at a protest? They don't work. We've been protesting the New York Safe Act for how many years now? 7 years? Doesn't work. You know what works? Changing people's hearts and minds and voting them out. And that's hard, way harder than a protest. That takes years, but that actually works. That actually works. How do I know that? Stacey Abrams. She figured it out in Georgia. Wow. She figured it out in Georgia. Get people out to care and go vote. And things change. Yep. That's how that works. That's what we have to do. Get people out, change hearts and minds, vote differently. Now, even if Georgia goes back to Republican in the next year or so, and it might, who knows? I don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. It might actually happen. Doesn't matter. Now Republicans go, whoop, whoa. Now Democrats go, whoa, that could happen? Let's start changing stuff. Most of the people in charge don't care about us at all, but they do care about their own power. Threaten their power, they will change. Don't threaten the power, whatever. You'll be mad, you'll get over it, because we'll just yell at each other. We'll just yell. And of course, we'll fight on issues that actually don't matter, right? We'll fight on issues like bathrooms. Do I really care? No. What's the thing now in the Congress now? They're gonna decide with genderless pronouns. I don't care if you want to have genderless pronouns. Awesome. If you don't, awesome. Don't care at all. But they're gonna make that a massive thing, like it's a big deal because we're virtue signaling and we're woke, and the right will be, see, we hated it so bad. Is that gonna get any of us a better job, or get us out of our house, or open up our economy, or educate our kids, or give us some happiness, allow me to go on vacation? Nothing. It's going to do nothing for us at all. But we'll fight in a culture war. Why? Because culture wars are about respect. And when people are not respected, they get angry and they try to change and they can't, and they start protesting and they start rioting. All those things. But I'm going to go to one step further here. One step further. What is the single common denominator in the protests last week, in the riots last week, and in the summer? The lockdown. Single thing. Can't have that many people on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, whatever day it was. You can't have that many people doing it if they got to go to work. Just can't. Can't do it. You can't have them sit there for days. You can't. I got to be at work in the morning. My boss doesn't care about you rioting or protesting or whatever. Boss wants you at work. Get your job done. Man, don't have lockdowns. Don't have this. Don't have this. That's the common denominator. So anyway, speaking of punishment, thoughts on what Facebook did to walk away, Google and Apple to Parler, and Amazon to Parler. Big tech shutting down conservative speech. Yes, Renee, it's horrible. It's not the answer, right? I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it. My left audience got mad at me when I said I was going to Parler. They were like, oh, you're going to talk to those people on the right now, your right-leaning friends. Is that what you're going to go do? And I went, yes. Yes, 100%. I want to talk to everybody, right and left. Yes. If we punish them, and what they're doing now is they're doing two things. One, they're ensuring that the right and left talk less, which is nothing but a bad thing. And second, they are literally writing the narrative for the right to call the left, hating the First Amendment and cancel culture. Yeah, you're literally writing it for them. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. And doesn't mean what now all the people on the right go, wow, I don't have Parler, so I guess I'll be a Democrat. Is that what happens? Of course not. Of course not. You're just going to find some other way to communicate, whatever that is. You're going to find some other way to make things happen, whatever it is. But it's the worst part. Now someone who's not completely dedicated to the right won't see it, except FBI agents who are infiltrating so they can punish you more. They still have those. But someone who's not far right won't be able to see people on the far right, so they can't talk to them and go, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't do that because bad things could happen. Can we have a conversation first? No chance of that at all. None. You've ensured there is no chance of anything positive coming from it. That's what happens from it. It's a terrible idea. Yes. You're speaking like it was the peaceful protesters' fault. I am? You talking to me, Shelley? I'm not sure. I thought I was clear. If I wasn't, let me clarify. If this is me, if you're talking to me and I came across the wrong way, let me clarify. What I was saying was, if there are people who went there specifically to hurt other people, punish them. I don't know how detailed that was, whatever. If that's true, punish them. But the average person who was there, are you going to punish everybody who was, running around in the summer? You're going to punish all these people? Now they're going to say yes because it's the Capitol, so therefore it's their, their hall ceremony. It's special. Punish them all. Put them all in jail. I know that's what they're going to say. I'm saying that's a bad idea. If you punish everybody who was there, you are just going to reinforce that narrative. You're going to make things worse. It's not the right answer. If there were people who were like, I'm going to go get him or her, and they went there for that, punish them, absolutely. But if it's not them, it's the wrong answer. I know some of the righteous, we got to get them. I don't know. Please go after Republicans. We can finally get a libertarian president. We need small government, straight tax, sovereign states. Kelly, I'm agreeing with you. And I do. I've been trying to get Republicans and Democrats, independents to come my way literally years. And I still do, 100%. I hope if you are, I said in the summer when the Democrats and the people on the left were mad, BLM, all these things, annoyed, I said, don't go defund the police. That's not going to work. This is going to backfire. Remember, I did hours of video on it. Don't go defund the police. It is a bad idea. Don't do that. Instead, here are some ways we can actually really reform the police that would actually include police in it and allow for people who like their police force to leave it alone, for those who don't, to make changes. Here's a template for it. You guys remember my quick program, right? Remember that? All those programs I came up with, right? So that's what I did. I was trying to get the left to not run overboard and go defund the police and come to me. Of course I was trying. Republicans, I'm telling you the same thing. Same thing. Sporadic violence, not the answer. Not going to work. Instead, come libertarian. Come on. Come to us. We're open for you. We're open. And when I was saying it in the summer, all the right libertarians were like, don't you dare bring those socialists over. I don't want them in here. And now the left's going, don't bring those Trumpsters in here. I want you all. I'm greedy, greedy, greedy. I want every one of you. Because the one thing that I show both sides, and you can be mad at me all day, but you know it's true. I show you respect. And I said it before. You can be angry at me. I can take that. We can work on it. We can fix that. But I can't have you not trust me. We'll never fix that, Kelly. If you don't trust me, never fix it. If you can be mad at me, go, oh, Larry's an idiot, he's stupid, that was wrong. Okay, that was wrong, or I was dumb, or I made a mistake. Sure, we can fix that. You can even just disagree with me on something. That thing, he's wrong on that one. But if you don't trust me, we have a problem. So yes, Republicans, come on in. Democrats, come on in. You can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just stop using violence. Just stop pushing your views on others. Stop making laws to put your view on other people. You want to do that? We're good. You want to just be you and let other people be them? We're good. We are good. Absolutely. Yes. All right. It started out a peaceful protest, then later on turned to riots. I don't doubt that, right? I don't doubt that. But I do think there were probably people. I mean, the summer riots were the same. There were people who went there ready to start trouble. I think that's true. I don't think the average person there was there to start trouble. I don't believe that. I could be wrong. Maybe there'll be evidence that will show I'm wrong. But I don't think the average person went there to start trouble at all. I think the average person went there to support Trump because they love Trump and they want to support him. And there were probably a couple of instigators in there who were like, hey, let's go this dumb thing. And they were like, yeah. That's what I think actually happened. So we'll see. The problem is we all know the election was stolen and a small percentage of us just want to move on and act like it didn't happen, call it just politics and the mahogany justice. No justice, no peace. You know, Jim, let me cover a couple of pieces. And I hear that often. If the election was stolen, and I have purposely not gone down this rabbit hole for one important reason. It's going to make you might sound angry you might get angry when I say it, but please hear me out before you click the, walk away buttons. Hear me out. It actually doesn't matter. And let me just explain why before you go crazy. All right. If the election was stolen, if the system was broken, if that's true, then the system was broken also 4 years ago. Now, I know people go, but Larry, things have changed. That's true. Things have changed since 4 years ago. But the system and the people in the system have been in place since then. The same people in many cases, sometimes the exact same people have been in place. So if the election was stolen, all of those people who were in place knew it back in 2016 and know it now. And they're okay with it, right? If it's stolen, they're okay. Like, yeah, stolen. We're good with it. We're not saying anything. We get a mouth shut. We're happy that it's stolen. If that's true, how is protesting going to change that? If it's true. It's not. We saw last week. It's not effective. It doesn't work to make the change that you want. If the system's actually broken and the election was stolen, if that's true, protesting, rioting doesn't help. You know what helps? Talking to people, getting them to believe it, and changing. That would help. This election is lost for Trump. Regardless whether it was stolen, not stolen, whatever it was, it's lost. It's not coming back. And it makes a lot of Trump supporters unhappy. I know. I'm just being forward with you. Now, if it was broken in 16, and Trump said it to be forward with you. For those who don't know this, Trump's words after the 16 election were, the election's rigged, but I won, so I don't care. That's what he said. That's not me. Do your own homework. That's his words after he won. If he was happy to take it then, he was hoping it was going to work again this time, and it didn't. You know, I'm just being forward. He knew the system he was in. If it's actually broken, he knew it was a broken system. If the people are that corrupt where it could be stolen, then he knew it in 16 and knew it now, and he was okay with it, and he would have accepted a victory in a corrupt system. If he would have said, I won, but it was corrupt, we got to redo it. If he would have said that, you know he wouldn't have. Then it's fair. But he wouldn't have. He would have been like, I won. Oh, well, corrupt system. How do I know that? He said it 4 years ago. So he was okay with it. So he's okay with it now. Here is my view. If this is true, instead of rioting, go fix it. Find the answers. Keep talking till people hear you. But Larry, we've been saying it. I've been talking this crap for 4 years and it hasn't worked. You got a whole lot of talking to do, Jim. You have a lot of talking to do. A lot of people to convince. I don't mean to be a jerk. I hope I'm not coming across that way. I'm trying to come across as realistic and, in fact, hopeful for you. I hope I'm coming across that way. The anger isn't working. It doesn't work. So what can work? Convince people. Show them. And talk now and again and again and again. Yelling the left is evil just makes the left hate you more. Like when the left yells the right is evil. Makes the right hate them more. So I guess people know it was stolen, I guess. I don't know that. I'm not going down that hole because it doesn't matter. The election is what it is. The powers that be have decided it's so. That makes it so. I know people don't like it. It makes it so. Trump knew what he was in for. He would have accepted the win if it was corrupt. He has to accept the loss, regardless of whether the system is broken or not. And if it isn't broken, if it's all a lie and it's not broken at all, okay, then it was fair. It's all good. You can still go off and try to find it, and you'll learn, hey, we were totally wrong. It was fair. Whatever. So my point being, anger and fighting is not the answer. I know it sounds good to say no justice, no peace. But how's that worked for the civil rights movement? Not so great. Look at the black family since the 1960s. Yeah. Hasn't worked. Doesn't work. All right. A coup is when soldiers with guns take over the country by force. A revolution is when people take over the country by force. It wasn't either of those. Agreed. I like that, Dave. I like that. True. Yes, absolutely. I heard they're going to be armed rallies soon. There will be, Jonathan. Again, the sporadic violence is not over. It's still going to keep happening. The sporadic violence is not over yet. It isn't. Oh, by the way, and the sporadic violence will end when two things happen. Number one, when we end the lockdown. And number two, Jim has a valid concern. Jim is saying, people just want to move on. Well, if we just move on, all those people who feel like this was unfair, they aren't dealt with at all. They're not going to all of a sudden go, okay, I guess I'm a Democrat now. It's not going to happen. So we have to somehow deal with that group of people who feel like it's unfair in some way. So they have to find another mission, another leader, another something. Something has to happen. Otherwise, it's going to keep going. And I'd like to end it. Government continue to divide and conquer? Yes. Sheep keep letting it happen? Yes. Tired of so many people getting so mad over these two parties, men, that they are hating each other and breaking ties with different friends and family. They've been friends forever. Yes. Julie, yes. Absolutely yes. We're breaking families up now over this. Families are breaking up over this. Absolutely. So very wrong. Divide and conquer, like a couple of bosses ahead. Yes, 100%. Yes. The extremists, who he's quoting it, are the scapegoat for the same people, the establishment. Ooh, Travis. It's not bad. I like that. So the establishment just, yeah, you're right. And I think last week gave them the narrative they needed to call it that, right? Yeah, it's just the extremists. We're still fine and perfect. We're wonderful. It's just the extremists that are the bad guys. Let's put them in jail and then everything will be perfect. I think you're right. Yes, I think you're right. That's true. All right. There is going to be a mass exodus of the Republican Party. We are going to witness a political revolution in this country like we've never seen. So where did they go, Chris? I hope they come to the Libertarian Party. I really hope they do. But I'm not sure they will. To be forward, as much as I love my party, and you guys all know I do, I wear my libertarianism on my sleeve. It's the infrastructure isn't there. We haven't created enough personalities for people to get behind. We haven't created enough infrastructure, right? And to Jonathan's point, was Jonathan who asked this? No, sorry, it was Jonathan. It was John. John who asked this. How do we, how do we stay viable if they start taking us off of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube? It's a challenge. I hope you're right, and I hope it's not just from the Republican Party. Look, to be forward, the Democratic Party is in trouble too. Democratic Party is in trouble also. This is civil war in the Democratic Party. I know people who are on my team now, and even my wife. My wife was a 25-year Democrat. And about 4 years ago, give or take, she's like, these guys they're just not me anymore. She can't be a Democrat anymore. But she's not a Republican. In fact, boy, does she not like Trump. Oh my God, my wife does not like Trump. But she votes Republican. It's like she likes Republican but hates Trump. So, but she's not the only one. There are many people in New York City who feel exactly like that. They voted for John Cummings against AOC, right? But then hate Trump. It happens all the time. So I hope you're right. I hope you're right, but I hope it's not just Republicans. Reminds me of a scene from The Walking Dead when Rick had the opportunity to kill Negan soldiers, but chose not to, believing it would just lead to more problems. Yes, absolutely. Yes. At one point, do you just keep killing? At one point, someone's got to stop killing, right? At one point, someone has to stop killing. Let's hope now is the time. Let's hope it's now. Hope you're right. I did watch The Walking Dead. I did. Yes. 99.9% of voters were peaceful. So let's focus on the 0.1% that was destructive and violent. You know what? I'm with you. I don't know where you're going with this, but there's two parts of this. Let's focus the punishment on the 0.1%. Yes. Let's not focus on them as if that's what the whole movement is. How about that? Exactly. If someone was doing that, yes, absolutely. 100%. So, yeah, anyway. I haven't seen anyone yet actually wonder why these people are protesting. And if I included, just condemnation. Yes. What's the common theme? A government that's not working for them. Chad, well done. Yes, brother, that's my whole point. Why does Antifa even exist? Why is there even a BLM movement? Why are there so many Trump supporters still fighting even though the election's over? Why are they still fighting? Why would they even imagine going to the Capitol? Why? There's a reason. They're not just crazy. It's not how it works. That people just aren't I mean, some individuals might be, but mass people are just crazy. There's a reason. You're totally correct. It is a feeling of a lack of power, a feeling of losing your culture, a feeling of losing your way of life, a feeling of not having power to control everything, a feeling of being attacked, a fear of being attacked and taken over. The issue of the idea that, well, elections have consequences. Man, is that a terrible idea? They do, but man, why would you want to do that? When I was running for governor, I didn't say, now I'll create laws that will punish the others. It's not what I ever said. I was always talking about creating a fairer field for everyone to be who they want to be. Localized control. Not one of my policies, not one. If anybody cares, go to LarrySharpe.com. The policies are still there. Not one of them added an extra tax. Not one of them added force. And all it did was make things better. If government would make things better without force and without extra taxes, man, we'd be a whole lot better. A whole lot better. Hey, Larry, will you be going on for Canon's sake with Eric soon? Let Eric invite me. Yes, of course. Absolutely. I've been on the show before. So, yes, happy to have him on. Yes. And when the sheep get pissed and act violently, they hand the government plausible reason to silence their liberties even more. Yep, absolutely. We have a broken two-party system. We must capture this moment. We must collectively walk away from the Democratic and Republican parties. Chris, I'm in. Come on over. I am in. Absolutely. Antifa doesn't have a reason. I'm just saying, I bet they would disagree, Stephen. I bet Antifa would disagree. Antifa would say they do. Yes. Got it. So, ABC has a new report that there are armed protests being planned over the states, capitals in D.C., and supposedly a group calling for storming government buildings if Trump's removed. Scary. It is. And the reason why it's most scary is all it's going to do is make things worse, right? It's not going to be the spark that starts a revolution. That's not going to happen. It's going to make things worse. People are going to get hurt. People are some might even get killed, and their lives are going to be ruined. They're going to be on TV. They're going to be getting fired from their jobs. They're going to be getting put in jail. It's nothing but bad, but it's difficult. It's difficult for people to get that when the only people they're talking to is people who think the same way. So let's take them off of everything so they can't do that because how did we find so many of the people who we're trying to punish now? Through social media, through Twitter and Facebook. So let's get rid of Twitter and Facebook. That's smart, I guess. I don't know. How can I tell the difference between the guy who was actively trying to hurt someone and someone just thought he was doing the right thing? Twitter, Facebook, all those things. You can see. Is someone saying, I'm going to get her, I'm going to get him, I'm going to shoot him, shoot her? Are they saying that on Facebook and Twitter? And they do. Okay, that's the bad guy. And he went there with a gun, looking for someone in the office. Okay, that's the bad guy. But unless he's that guy, why are we doing this? Yes. Lewis agrees. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Yes. Imagine if you would have been witnessing the escalation of peaceful protests the world over by your own government to topple leaders. Imagine if you would that one of those countries have decided to repay us in kind. I know who went with zero interest in violence. I know people who went. Yes, I'm totally agreeing with you. And the other issue is, at least half of the data that's coming out that says the elections are rigged, or Trump is evil, or Biden is evil, or the left is trying to get you, or the right's trying to get you. At least half that's coming from foreign governments. At least half. I don't know how much, but at least half. The goal, foreign governments, our enemies, Russians, Chinese, Iranians, they can't topple us with weapons, right? There's no way they can invade our country and take over anything. They can't do that. It's impossible. So what can they do? They can destabilize our government. They do that how? Through cyber attacks, which they've done already, through social media attacks, through these types of things. This is what I've been talking about, again, for years, that our defense, one of our biggest chunks should be cyber, and it should be a counterattack. And it's going to sound horrible, but the reality of it is, one of the reasons, the major reason why there wasn't a massive nuclear war after World War II was mutual assured destruction, right? If you nuked us, we would nuke you and the whole world dies. Everybody dies. It's the no-win scenario, right? So we don't play that game. We don't almost play the no-win scenario. But we actually dropped the bomb on Japan. We did. The next thing we have to realize is we have to have that with cyber. We have to have that with cyber. And you might say, Larry, you're the passive guy. I am. I am not about violence. So what would I do? I would threaten. And I'd be very clear. You do that to us. You touch our election system. You touch anything. And it's a state sponsor. We're going to cyber attack, and you're going to have 3 Chernobyls in your cities. We're going to devastate your grid. You are going to have hundreds of thousands of people dead and or injured for decades. That's going to happen. And you can't counterattack us because militarily will destroy you. So you will have no counterattack. You will simply get devastated. That's all you do. And it won't be total devastation. It'll be a massive attack. And if it happens again, we will devastate your entire nation. Just gone. Cyber attack wise. That's it. You might say, wow, Larry, that's harsh. Yes, but that's the way that we stop massive attacks. Otherwise, what happens? What we have now, which is people constantly poking the giant, poking the giant, poking the giant. There is a lack of respect for us out there that you see everywhere, but you don't get it by shaking your fist. You don't get it by invading other countries. You don't get it by any of those things. You get it by saying, mess around, look what happens. Trade wars don't work, particularly against regimes like North Korea. They don't work against that. But a cyber attack destabilizes the entire country? Yeah. That'll work. Absolutely. Do that. They might say, well, Larry, North Korea, cyber attack, they've got like 2 power plants in the entire country. Yeah. So trade with them so they can become viable and they can have something to lose, right? This may sound crazy, but there was value to giving. It's going to sound crazy, but you hear what I'm saying. there was value to giving iPads to prisoners in jails and prisons. People say, why in the world would you want to give an iPad to a convicted criminal? Because when you start giving out iPads and they like it, now you have something to take away. Now there's something to lose. You're in jail for 20, 30, 40 years life. What do you to lose? What do you care? What are they going to put you in life more? Nothing to lose. If you've lost your family already, nothing to lose. But you like your iPad? Now the CEOs have something to give to you and to take away and to promise you. I know you might think it's crazy, but ask corrections officers. I know many of them. They weren't against the iPads. They were against how the iPads were given out. They wanted to have the iPads to give and to take away and to use to have good ways of dealing with prisoners, particularly the most violent ones who are in jail for prison for so many years. Well, let's give Korea something to lose. Then maybe they'll care. The concept is the same. The concept's the same. It doesn't feel right? It doesn't feel good giving the prisoner an iPad. They're a convicted prisoner. Why would you want to give it to them? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good giving North Korea cool stuff to become a bit more powerful and a bit more economically viable. It doesn't feel good, but it's the right answer because then they have something to lose. Now you can negotiate. It's human nature. And I feel like all we care about is shaking our fist and being righteous, and nothing gets better. There are ways of making people think better and act better without having to use violence. It can work. Yes. So anyway, I'm sorry. Is there a left-wing version of Parler? Oh, it's a good question. I actually don't know. I don't actually know. It's a good question. I should know that. My team, if you're listening, check that one out. Yes, we want to be there. So how does the Pledge for Nonviolence jive with the American Revolution? I'm not sure what I guess are you saying that libertarians wouldn't have done the American Revolution? Maybe not. It's a good question. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure how that would work. I think the assumption would be, is the government so oppressive that it's causing you harm? And then that would not violate the non-aggression principle, right? The non-aggression principle says you may not initiate force. Doesn't mean you're against force. It means you will not initiate force. And the pledge is you will not initiate force. But that's what it's really about. But would you respond to force? Of course. I mean, humans do that. So I think the issue would be responding to force. So at one point, someone would have to believe that the government is so oppressive that it's the equivalent of that. And then you'd be authorized to use force with a physical revolution. I think that's how it would work. But you can have revolution without violence. You don't have to have violence, right? India did it. Canada did it. They became independent without force. You can do either. And I'm okay either way, but what I'm not okay with is sporadic violence. That's nothing but bad. Nothing but bad. So, all right, if I can do this. They are hanging out in their echo chamber while you hang out in yours. Yeah, I'd rather us not do that, Hannah. I think you're right. I'd rather do that. Yeah, I'd rather not do that. Yes. Happy people don't protest. Freedom breeds happiness. Yes, Chad. Yes, yes, and yes. Why do I spend so much time talking about pursuit of happiness? The more we spend on that, the better. Absolutely. Yes. GetGab.com. I'm going to be on Gab this week. It's always better than Parler anyways, and it can't get banned the current way that it's set up. I'm going to go on Gab, come here too. I have a list that I've got to start going on. So I need to make sure that all of them I'm going to make sure I'm on all of them to the best of my ability. Yes. All right. As we know that how people begged for censorship, it's better to question who to blame for letting that happen. I'm not sure where you're going with that one, Ed. I'm not sure about where you're going with that. I apologize. Steve says, you're right, Larry. Cancel culture is leaving otherwise moderate libertarians and conservatives wondering, is there any alternative civil war? Yes. People become radicalized when they're being oppressed. Yes. Desperate people do desperate things, which is why I predicted sporadic violence literally a year ago. I said this was going to happen. Absolutely. It was predictable. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Reason must prevail. Yes, but we've got to have respect first. We got to have respect first. That's the piece. People won't hear you until they feel respect. That's the issue. If you want to talk about respect, watch this. Larry Sharpe here, host of the Sharpe Way show. And boy, do we need to start coming together and healing now more than ever. Best way to do that? Respect. We got to respect each other so we can start to come together. How can we facilitate that? Head over to the technocrats.org/human respect tests. Yes, there's a test for human respect. You didn't think there was? There is. Take that test. About 3 minutes. That's it. It's done. Share it online. Share it on your social media. Let other people see it. Let them take the test. Share it with others. Let's start talking about respect. Let's start talking about healing. Let's find the right answer for us to move forward. Theadvocates.org human respect tests. That guy's right. By the way, if you go to the show notes here in YouTube or Facebook, you will see the actual link, hyperlink, boom, right there. You can take that human respect test. It's a pretty cool test. It's something you could really enjoy. Yes. All right. I'll never stop advocating liberty, but I would take it up a notch. Trying to. All right. I agree. I want to try to the best of my ability. The left-wing version of Paul is Twitter without Trump. That's very good. I like that. Mike, very nice. That's a good one. It is returning forces to that level. It was dying prior to Trump and will be again. That's a good. I like that. If you once Trump goes away, a lot of people on the right will begin to shift off to right. I think you're right, but I think they'll stay because it's still effective, right? It's still the biggest one out there. This goes back to the oligarchy piece. It's the biggest one out there, but you're right. It does become much more left-wing once Trump is gone. Or maybe it becomes more moderate. It could be. I'm going to hope moderate. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not saying I'm going to hope moderate. I think it can be more moderate. I think it can be. And I hope it will be more moderate. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we can do this. So if you're against Antifa, does that make you a fascist? I think you're asking me that. I'm not sure, Charles, if you are. No, not at all. I don't think that makes you I don't think that makes you fascist at all. You're a fascist if you're a fascist. Whether you're for or against Antifa, that actually matters. So Larry interviewed Dave Champion. I can facilitate that if you like. Happy to have him on. Yes, I'll go on his show. He can come on mine. Yes, Jonathan, please. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. The speed with how libertarians and conservatives are being destroyed, not just silenced, is terrifying. Yes. Even people actively criticize Trump are being canceled. Payment providers refuse to work with freedom groups. Yes. Right. This is a problem. I completely agree. Right. We have to try to convince people to where it doesn't work. Right. If we don't get people to understand that we're the good guys, if it makes any sense, or at least not the bad guys, then they just keep doing it. There's no punishment. They don't see any punishment for it, right? So we have to keep working on this. I said in 2016, this is a 10-year plan for me. I'm only 4 years in, now 5 years. I've got 5 years left, right? We're still rocking and rolling. We still have time. We've got to keep pushing. Will you run as a Dem? I think you have a better chance. People just pick party down line. People ask me all the time, will I run as a Dem or as a Republican? If I were to run in New York City as a Dem, if I actually could win a primary, I would have a better chance of winning. That's true. The problem is I can never win a primary. I'm not a Democrat, and they know that I'm not part of the establishment. There's no way I can win a primary, right? I would have to literally lie on who I was, do that, and that's not worth it, right? It's not me. It's not worth me just lying on who I am. If I actually said who I was, but just put a Democratic sticker on me, I'd never win a primary. So I can't run as a Democrat. It's impossible. I'm not an established Republican either. So that's me running as a Republican, pretty slim too. I'm not a Republican. They're going to go, wait, you're not part of the establishment. They're not going to put me on either. So the problem is I couldn't win a primary unless I lied and wasn't me. And then what value is that, right? What value is that? In addition, I'd rather run as a libertarian. Even if I lose, if I run as a libertarian, do a good, powerful libertarian job, it helps somebody else run locally, and locally libertarians can actually win relatively easy if we have the infrastructure to make that happen. So I think the odds of me running as Republican or Democrat, I think, are slim. But, look, if I thought there was an opportunity, maybe I'm not going to take it off the table, but I wouldn't count on it. Very slim that I would do that. Very slim odds. So, all right. So if I keep going here, let's see here. If I can grab a couple more. I'm still at work because Mick Practice is the worst EMR I've ever used. I'm not sure what that is. Like, comment, share. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Yes. Trump turned a lot of Republicans against the party. I worked for a political group making political phone calls in New York State. Can't tell you how many people said that because of Trump, they would never vote Republican again. I think Trump made a couple of errors. The first one I think he made is when he lost, and when it was obvious he lost, he didn't stop in time, right? He says, you know what? I'm done. It's corrupt. I'm going to fix it. Go ahead, Biden. Take this. I'm going to take my people, and I'm going to show you how bad it is. I'm going to spend the next 4 years fixing this system, showing you how corrupt it is, invalidating your election, and I'm going to run in 2024, or whoever he picks to run in 2024, and boom, move on. That would have made Republicans happy, and Trump supporters would have been happy. So, but he didn't do that. And the second thing is, then after saying, guys, go, I love you, I support you, and he said, all go to jail. You are bad people going to jail. Man, that made a lot of people feel like he just betrayed them. He hurt his supporters. It's true. Those are two things he didn't do well at all. Those are errors that he made. I completely agree. He made errors, Scott. He screwed that up. Absolutely. So, all right. A building has to have a foundation and then build it from the bottom up. How would you describe the Libertarian Party foundation? Does it exist? Libertarian Party foundation. Yes, I think there are two parts. I'll talk to you physically, like what do we have physically, and then I'll talk about ideology. Physically, we have organizations that can function in all 50 states. We are the only party that isn't Republican or Democrat that has that. So if you want to get on the ballot in any state in the United States, you can if you have Libertarian. It is possible. We have infrastructure to make that happen. And how do I know that? Last 2 elections in a row, we were the only party other than the top 2 who was on the ballot in all 50 states. So that's the physical foundation that we have already existing. Is it great? No, it isn't. Does it exist? Yes. Is there something to build off of? Yes. Foundation is built. So that's the physical aspect. The philosophical aspect. Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff. Don't create policies that add taxation, that add force, that add violence. Do everything you can to begin to shrink government. Done. That's our foundation. From there, people take it off to different ways and issues and what they work on more, less, whatever the case may be. That's where that goes. Some states are stronger than others when it comes to infrastructure, specifically, but each state has the infrastructure to move forward. I hope that was clear. So, when Trump won, I posted a meme that said, how bad does it have to get before people vote Libertarian? One of my Democrat friends said he was afraid we'll find out. Maybe. Yes. Maybe. There we go. Yes. So, Larry, apparently Thomas Massie was one of the few members of Congress armed when the rioters entered the Capitol building. I think to resolve our feuds in Congress, we should have armed duels in chambers. I think that's funny. Sure. Yeah, it's funny. Armed duels again. I'd rather someone not have to die because they're wrong. That's worse than cancel culture. That's actually worse. Yes, that's absolutely worse. Extremists, deplorables, etc. The establishment will always use negative sounding names to describe people that threaten their power. Yes, Chaz, 100% correct. Right? This is called the one-word story. You create a one-word story that says, "Aha, those are who those people are. They're the one-word stories. They're the extremists, so we can ignore them. They're the deplorables, so we can ignore them." But they do it even with more simple things, like when most conservatives use the word liberal, it's a pejorative term. When most liberals use the word conservative, it's a pejorative term. Absolutely. Yes. So this is a Treaty of Versailles moment. Look at you, Tom, going back in history. I love it. If retribution goes too far, they will create a much more radical slice of the population that will be willing to go even further. Tom, you are on the money correct. Yes. For those of you who don't know, the Treaty of Versailles was a treaty that ended World War I. And it was so harsh to Germany, it facilitated the rise of Hitler. And people who study this, and I'm sure many of you who are savvy enough who've done this, know that if it wasn't for the Treaty of Versailles, the odds of Hitler coming to rise go down tremendously. It might have so happened. I mean, who knows, right? We're speculating, obviously. But wow, the odds go down. That was his biggest reason, right? Somebody backstabbed us. It wasn't fair. The Jews backstabbed us. Oh, the elites hurt us. That was the story that went for 20 years, and before you know it, now we've got marching across Europe, and we got death camps. Yep, 100%. Not that the Germans were so pro-Semitic, I guess, is that a phrase, prior to World War II. But if you were in 1910 Europe and you told some German person, hey, in 30 years, you're going to be taking a big chunk of your Jewish population and putting them in camps and killing them, they'd have said, no way, you're insane. Come on, never going to happen. They would have never believed you. French wouldn't have believed you. French would have said that's not going to happen in Germany. Russians, they might have believed that. But no one would have believed the Germans were going to do that. They wouldn't have believed it. And 30 years later, there you go. So I think you're totally right, Tom. We have to look at it that way. Absolutely. So let's see if I can grab a couple more of these. I appreciate that. Problems don't get fixed because Republicans and Democrats in Congress depend on the public fighting each other. This is how they keep their power over us. Congress needs term limits immediately. Yes, Bernard, 100%. Yes, 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 100%. Yes. Deplatforming and silencing this many people radicalize them. That's what. Why are all of us on this, live getting this? Yes, you're totally correct. We're all saying it, and they're still doing it. I mean, look, maybe, Bernard, you're right, Bernard. Maybe they're just happy. They're like, good, let's do more. Let's divvy it up even more. Let's keep it divided, right? Maybe that's what it is, right? It will radicalize them and increase the echo chamber effect. I'm trying to stop this, to do the little that I can, to keep an open conversation that anyone can sit in here and chime in. I do this live with AMAs, so you can ask me whatever you want. You can insult me if you want to. I hope you don't. Some of you do. You can talk to me about what we think. You can give your opinion, and I'll give mine back. I try not to judge. I try not to judge. I hope you're not judging. We're trying not to. But our enemies love this for sure. My worry is, who are our enemies? Are they just, the Chinas and the Irans of the world, just them? Or are they also the elites of this country? Are they that broken? Are they that incompetent? Are they that mean? I don't know. But we can't be the smartest people in the country. We just can't be, right? We know this, and none of them know it. Do they not care? I don't know. Or you know what? Is it that people are just so used to their old ways, just keep doing the old things, and there's just no way around it because the culture is just so broken? Maybe the culture is that broken, Dustin, that they just can't even imagine something else. And there are some people who have a severe lack of imagination and just would never do that at all. Yes. So, the non-aggression principle, keep reminding your brothers and sisters in the Libertarian Party. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes. If the Democrats weren't fight the whole presidency for the last 4 years, this probably wouldn't have happened. I'm not sure that's true, Jason. I mean, the Republicans were fighting Obama too, right? If you look at how this went, I think you find that probably in the 90s is when it got tough, when Newt Gingrich was fighting with Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton did something very savvy. I know some people don't like Bill Clinton, but I'm just going to give him credit where credit is due. He moved to the middle. He was like, oh, Gingrich is winning? Okay, the Republicans are winning? I'm a Republican now. And he moved to the middle to the best of his ability. Obviously not perfectly, he's still a Democrat, but he moved to the best of his ability as a Democrat to the middle. And it worked for him, right? It was the right move. So as the battle happened, Clinton shifted. Then Bush came. And when Bush came, 9/11 happened, then everybody gets behind Bush, 9/11. Absolutely get it, 100%. But after 9/11, when Obama came on board, even Obama, when he was first talking, he was still talking about, there's not two Americas, there's one America. Bush was talking the old, I'm a uniter, a divider. The rhetoric was still, we're going to unite. But we weren't united, right? That was just talk. The second term of Obama had finally given up even the facade. He was like, nope, to hell with you Republicans. It's all about Democrats. Elections have consequences. Remember that? That was Obama. He finally was like, I'm done. That's it. Forget it. Then Trump said, oh, let me show you what this is about. And he took Obama even further, right? When it came to bombing, Obama took Bush further. When it came to division, Trump took Obama further. So they just kept going further. And now we're totally divided. I'm hoping And I don't know if this is wishful thinking or not, but I am the optimist. I'm hoping that Biden actually wants his legacy to be some form of united. I hope it's true. He talks it. We'll see it. It'll be true or it won't. But the 8 years of Obama, Republicans will literally said Mitch McConnell's words were, our number one issue is making sure Obama is a one-term president. That was his number one issue, his words. So McConnell was fighting Obama, not as bad as Democrats fought Trump. I'm not saying they're the same. They're not. They're different. But he was fighting Obama the whole time, all 8 years. He was fighting him. And again, Trump, it was all magnified. Trump was magnified in division, and the Democrats were magnified in fighting him. It was magnified. But I definitely think that happened prior to Trump. So I think this happens because we don't talk. It happens because we don't talk. So, all right. Already talking about new domestic terrorism act soon. Yep. Absolutely. Of course. Yes. You're right. Armed protests won't be the spark that starts revolution. It will be the foot that stomps it. Yes. Yeah. We'll see. Since our elections are so screwed up, let's just have the candidates wrestle a steel cage match. No way to rig it with Dominion. Maybe may the best man or woman win. Any pronoun of the rainbow win. Yeah. Yes. As long as we're all good with it, we agree. You know what? 3 people enter, 1 person leave. Done. That's it. We're done. Yes, 100%. I love that. America will be destroyed from within. It's already happening, Paula. I want to try to turn it around, but it is already happening. Yes. Agree this has been building for years. It's pissing contest. Yes. I think it has been happening for years. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Do you think a more centrist party will rise up? I consider myself a constitutional independent, so I really don't fit in any of the 3 parties. I don't think I would pass for a libertarian purity test. A centrist party may be ideal for federal government since they may be more empathetic to the concerns of all these various groups. Well, the reality of it is centrism is boring. I don't mean to be mean, but politics is very emotional. I don't mean to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean, but politics is very emotional. And a centrist party doesn't seem exciting. It doesn't get people out to vote. So you'd have to have a party that would absorb centrists, but still would have some true mission or something exciting about it. Right now, most Democrats and most Republicans are not, if they're centrists, are not welcome in the party, right? Most Republicans now are not centrist. They're much more, not progressive. They're much more populist. And most Democrats now, many of them are more progressive. It just is. So you're right. A centrist Republican or a centrist Democrat feels lost. Like, what do I do now? They feel lost. They tend to just go, well, I lean right, so I vote Republican, or I lean left, so I vote Democrat, right? That's what they tend to do. What I'm telling you is, Libertarian Party will accept centrist easily. Easily. Come. We'll take anybody, because are you saying, Larry, I just want to run by the Constitution and that's it, and everything else is voluntary? We're in. Not all libertarians are constitutionalists. Not all, but many are. A big chunk of libertarians are constitutionalists. All right? Not all. Before, there are some who think even the Constitution isn't valuable, right? They just like total libertarian to your purity test piece. But there is a huge chunk of libertarians who are constitutional, the constitutionalists. A lot of them are. So you could find a home in the Libertarian Party with that group of people who are constitutionalists. So there is no purity test for them. Constitution, you're in. You can find your home here, Melissa. Absolutely. Larry, I live in New York and would love to switch to the Libertarian Party, but Cuomo and company, as you know, changed the votes needed to remain on the ballot. What do we have to do to get the Libertarian back on the ballot in New York? I think our lawsuit's gonna work. I think we're gonna work. I think we'll get it back. I think the odds of them getting rid of it now are slim. We have a lawsuit right now. I think it is going to work. I think it will. I think we'll be fine. I'm not that concerned. I think it will work. So. Let me grab a couple more if I could. We are already in the cyber war. Yes, Mary, and we're losing. Yes, you're right. We are, and we're losing. This would be my number one issue. And Tommy Brown, I don't know if he checked in today. Tommy Brown's always talking about that. He's out of Indiana. He's been talking about this for over a year. He was totally ahead of the curve on this for most people. Maybe McAfee was ahead of him, but that's about it. He was totally ahead of the curve on this one. He's been talking about it for a long time. Got to do it. And he's right. Cyber is everything. I talk about it too. If we don't square this away, we are going to suffer tremendously, Mary. We are in a cyber war, and we're currently losing. We've got to turn this around, and sadly, it's got to be aggressive. The advantage is America has a habit of doing that. For those of you who don't know, America during World War II, we were getting our butt kicked in the beginning of World War II. We lost in the Philippines. We got our butt kicked all over the place. Got bombed in Pearl Harbor, and we turned it around and won that damn thing. So we can do it again, right? We can turn it around and win this thing, right? So we absolutely can. Even it came to the spy game in the Cold War. Cold War I was with the Russians, the Soviet Union. Cold War II was with China. Cold War I, we began Cold War I, with atomic power. So that was an advantage, where we had to bomb first. That was good. But our spy network wasn't anywhere near as good as the Russian spy network was. They were much better at that kind of stuff. But we came around. And I think we can do that too. This one, we can come back when it comes to cyber. Absolutely. So the politician worshiping sickens me. It is. They are like our priests to some people. They're like our, they're like the Pope and the cardinals for many people. It's true. Yes. So let's see if I can keep going here. I don't see libertarians as centrists. We are anti-authoritarians. Leftist libertarians and right wing. I'm not sure where that goes, but yeah, I think there definitely are left wing and right wing libertarians. That's true. What I'm saying is we can accept centrists easily, right? If you just walk in and go, look, I just want to be left alone. Just can we just do that? We're like, yeah, welcome, 100%. If you're saying, look, we got to spend more time working on social issues. Generally speaking, you're more left libertarian. It's not a 100% rule, but it's a good general rule. We spend more time on economic issues. Generally speaking, you're more right libertarian. If you're like, look, let's just keep them both, you're more of a centrist. But either way, Libertarian Party will take you, right? Either way. So I call myself a law and order libertarian. People tell me I'm not a real libertarian. This is the problem that we have. And for those of you who are new to the party, here's what I would ask you. When people start saying you're not libertarian, ignore them. Just ignore them. Every time you're not libertarian, I had someone. I had a New York City politician running for mayor on my show the other day, and someone put, that doesn't sound real libertarian. Okay, it's a New York City libertarian. That's not a Wyoming libertarian. There's a difference. And if you're going to go, she's not a real libertarian. When you live in New York City and you see how this city works, you might change your mind. If you don't, you live in a fantasy world. You're going to make any impact in this city where I live, this is the belly of the beast, guys. You are going to be a left-leaning libertarian, or no one's going to know what you're saying. No one's going to hear you at all. It's just, and you're not going to try to run. I mean, the city is hard left. You know this. You've watched the news. Oh, you live here. You know this city's hard left. You're going to lean left if you're in my city. That's how it works. So when people say I'm real libertarian, just ignore them. They're angry, or they're upset, or they feel disrespected, or whatever the case may be. I get called names by libertarians all the time. And whatever, it's fine. Whatever you're going to do, it's fine. So thank you. Please, Dan from Idaho, stay. Dan from Idaho, sorry. I'm more worried about big tech attacking free speech. It's an issue, and we have to work on it. And I think the way we do it is by dealing with Article 230, dealing with that issue. That's the number one issue. A question: how does a nation lose respect versus receiving it? I'm not sure. It's a good question. A group of people can have respect. That can be a nation. That can be a political party. That can be a state. It can be a family. I mean, a group of people. And I think you lose respect by people thinking that you aren't worthy of respect. And what does that mean? That means things like you lie, you're a hypocrite, you can't act, you can't meet the expectations that someone thinks, right? For example, if you watch someone who, say, has had their leg broken, or worse, has had a serious injury in the leg, maybe they were had an accident, or they were injured in combat, and that person is able to run a mile, and you go, wow, much respect, well done. Why? Because they maybe took a bullet in their leg. That surpasses your expectation of a person who took a bullet in the leg. But you see a regular person who hasn't been injured, they're 18 years old, young. You might expect them to be able to run a mile, right? You might expect them to. And they run a mile and you go, whatever, so what? I expected you to do so. So I think meeting and surpassing expectations is the critical piece. When you don't make expectations, people start losing respect for you, whether that's expectations in achieving something or in saying something or doing something or practicing what you preach, right? So if I sit here and go, the people who rioted in the summer were heroes and the people who rioted in DC are mean, you can lose respect for me. Wait a minute, Larry, didn't you say those guys were heroes? I didn't say either were heroes. I simply said I have empathy for both. And you should be looking at me going, yeah, that's Larry. I hope I can retain your respect. I was the same with them as I was here. The expectations should be met and hopefully exceeded. So I think that's how you deal with it. When you cannot meet the expectations, you might say, Larry, so in someone's eyes, the expectations may not be real. Yes, it isn't always fair, right? That guy who got shot in the leg, took a bullet in the leg, he may have been a star athlete and running a mile may be nothing for him. He might be like, whatever, boom, done, easy, right? But we didn't know that. So our expectation was he got shot, he can't run, and he runs a mile and we're impressed. And the person who can't run a mile may have asthma and maybe can't do it, but we don't know that. So we're like, what a chump. They couldn't run a mile. So it may not be fair. I hope I answered that question. So, all right, let's see if I can do this here. Yeah, let's cyber attack a first-gen iPad. The Communist parties are lucky to have North Korea. Yeah, we kind of got to give them some better stuff. You're right, Jonathan, before we can do anything. Absolutely. You kind of got to do some stuff, yes. Larry, I'm just 2 years younger than you, and I'm damn tired. Where do you find the energy to stay passionate, not just walk away? It's a good question. And you guys know I do this 5 days a week, 7 p.m., 5 days a week. And I have 2 radio shows, regular terrestrial radio shows out of Western New York. I do 2 of those a week. And I still work and I still make money to feed my family. So I still do all those things. So yes, how do I have energy? I just have to. I don't know what the answer is. When I'm talking to people and giving them advice about things in their life, a question I will often ask them when they want something, want to achieve something, the question I'll ask them is, okay, if not you, then who? And if they can tell me someone, I go, great, let's go talk to that person and see if we get that done. If they go, well, then nobody. Well, then it's you. I'm thinking to myself, in New York, who can do what I'm doing right now? If not me, who? I can't think of anybody. There are people across the country who can do it, but people in New York, I don't think anybody. So I'm doing it, and I keep doing it. And hopefully I can answer that question with like, oh, these 18 people. And when that happens, maybe I'll stop. So I think it's really because I do care. I gave myself a time limit, 10 years. I have 2 kids who I don't want to move. I don't want to leave my state. I don't want to leave my city. I don't want to leave my country. I want to fix it. And I see what's happening. All this stuff. And I hate to be so, I'm just going to be it. I predicted it all. I told you what was going to happen. And every time it happened. If you understand people, if you understand organizations, this stuff is predictable and preventable. And we seem to never do it. And I think we can. So hope that was good. All right. Let's see. What incentives are used for we the people to incentivize or reward good behavior versus punishment? As a general rule, you can use incentives 2 ways. One, social incentives, meaning other people will think you are cool or great or fun or exciting, whatever the case may be, right? Socially, as a general rule, and this is not 100% rule, obviously, people are different, but most people judge themselves by their peer group, right? So we provide an environment for you to become stronger, smarter, faster, respected within your peer group. That's number one. Second thing can be freedom to go achieve what you want to achieve the way you want to achieve it, right? That's the goal. That's how you incentivize people. Go off and do the cool thing. Go. And when you do, give them acknowledgement. It is that simple. Generally speaking, that works best at a local level. Not always, but it usually works best at local level. So the more local stuff you have, the better off you have it. What's the old story? Local kid does good. That's kind of gone away. And that should be more important. Local kid does good is really a way of getting people to go, you know what? I like this. I want to be that local kid who does good. So All right, let's see if I keep going here. The left-wing version of Barr's Facebook. I don't know. I've seen that. No, it's getting kind of cut down. Yeah, the way they're making it happen on purpose. I think you're right. They're making it happen on purpose. It's true. So, all right. Do you feel there's a future Republican leader for 2024? It seems like Trump's ego and cult have squashed any possible rivals. I think there's a part of that's true, Josh. If you look at the Democratic field, in the Democratic Party, there were many people that pick up the Obama mantle. They were all out there, wherever you want to go. It was Yang and Marianne Williamson and Biden and Bernie and Gabbard, and anywhere you kind of fell on that, Democratic spectrum, there was someone for you to pick up. Not as clear in the Republican Party right now. I don't think we'll know for at least a month, because what's going to start happening is the finger pointing, right? To be forward with you, if there is a real story that Republicans are going to start telling about Trump when they completely throw him under the bus. And once he's gone, they're going to the establishment has already abandoned him, and they are then going to throw him totally under the bus. And they're going to say things like, oh, thanks to Trump, we lost the Senate and the House and the presidency. They're going to blame Trump for everything. It's all his fault, because they don't take the blame. So they're going to blame him for everything. You're going to watch the blame game happen about a month or so from now, right? Once they figure out who they're going to make the bad guy, Trump will be out of office. They'll blame him for everything. That's my view. I could be wrong, but I'm usually right in these things. They're going to blame him for everything. It's his fault they lost the Senate. It's his fault they lost the House. It's his fault they lost presidency. Blame him for everything. And then you're going to find Republicans start vying for that next piece, right? There's currently about 3 different parts of the Republican Party. 2 to the Democratic Party and 3 to the Republican Party. The Republican Party has 3 parts. One is the old school neocons, right? The Mitt Romneys of the party, right? Those types. That's one chunk. The second chunk is more of the Tea Party 2.0 types. They're more liberty leaning than the rest of them, but they're much more constitutionalists than they are libertarians. They're much more constitutionalists. And then the last one is the populists, which is the Trump wing. Those 3 wings are going to begin to fight it out in the next 3 or 4 months. Right now, the populist wing is, I think, the biggest hit because of what just happened. But it doesn't mean they're finished. They're still going to be there. They're still going to exist. They may merge with the Tea Party. They may do that. It's possible. The odds of them merging with the neocons are slim, because the neocons are establishment, and the neocon establishment hate Trump. So they're going to be the ones pushing the narrative that everything's Trump's fault. So my gut tells me that a leader will come probably from the Tea Party 2.0. That's what I think. And I think whatever the populist pieces that are still around, I think they'll wind up going under that, is what I believe. So it'll be one of those people. I don't think it'll be a Ted Cruz. Maybe, but I don't think it'll be a Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz now is part of the populist wing. I don't think it'll be him or Josh Hawley. I don't think it'll be those guys. I think it'll be somebody in the Tea Party 2.0 will be the top guy will come to the top. And he will be less scary than the populists. So I think the establishment guys will keep their mouth shut and go, fine. Okay, fine, it's you. Just don't be populist. Just keep the populists happy. That's what my gut says. We'll see. All right. See if I can keep going. Let's see here. I'll never stop advocating for liberty, but I would like to become more optimistic. Keep watching. I'm trying to be, optimistic as I possibly can. Keep watching is my answer. Gab is down now? Oh, I don't want to hear that. Really? So now they've trashed Gab too? I guess they're going to trash everything now. Horrible. It's not going to work. It's such a terrible idea, and they just keep doing it. They just keep doing it. All right, let me grab a couple more if I can. Somebody's popping up some new ones here, so let me grab some new ones if I can. All right. I'm leaving all political parties. I mean, new party. Well, I'm here if you want to. Yep. Yes, they're going to blame Trump, but it's their own fault. They could have had an hearing on election fraud and took care of this, Section 230. Correct. Yes. I'm not, to be forward, I'm not saying it's all Trump's fault. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they're going to blame Trump for everything, and that will be the narrative we're going to hear again and again and again and again and again. They are going to, they are absolutely going to make that a thing. That's the narrative you're going to hear. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think you're going to hear that narrative for a year. You can hear that narrative. All Trump's fault, all his fault, everything's his. Absolutely. So, all right. I've been getting more active over the past years, and I have hosted and produced audio and video podcasts. Maybe that's my place of possibly running for local office. I'm a good judge of what to do next, and hopefully I judge right in the near future. Saratoga spring city elections this year, and candidates haven't announced, but some have said they're not running. Chaz, I think if you're good at this, do this, right? You can make impact without running. I haven't run since 2018. I haven't run in 2 years, not 3 years. It's fine. You don't have to run every year. You don't have to always run. Run when you think it's appropriate. Otherwise, do what you think you can do. That's what I think. Do what you think you can do best. That's what I think is the most important piece. So, yes. All right. Tea Party 2.0, like Austin Peterson talked about. Yes, that's a thing right now. That is, Austin was not joking when he said that. Austin is serious about that. And I think it is happening right now. You're seeing the Tea Party 2.0 be talked about now. People who are worried are moving towards that. The people who saw the shakeup that Trump created, most of those Republicans, not all, but most of them, don't want to go back to the old ways, right? So they have to find another answer. So if there's no populist leader that pops up from Trump, they have to find something else. Many of them are going to go Tea Party 2.0 because Tea Party, from before they remember, and they go Tea Party 2.0, which is the next step. They'll find something that isn't the establishment. I hope some of them will come Libertarian Party. Please come Libertarian Party. But I get it if you're going to go someplace else. Just keep watching. Let's stay together either way. So, yes. All right. If I keep you on this. All right. With libertarianism enforced, would monopolies exist? They might. But the reality of it is libertarianism is nowhere near being enforced. So by the time that there would be a libertarianism enforced, if that makes any sense, enforced in the world or in the country, there would be a massive cultural shift before that could happen. There's no way you can just go libertarianism tomorrow. The country's nowhere near ready for it, wouldn't accept it. We would just if the entire government fell tomorrow, we just recreate another government just like this because the culture hasn't changed yet, right? So we have to make sure that we have the right cultural change. What you want to do, monopolies would exist in a libertarian world, but only short term. And they wouldn't be government-sponsored monopolies. They'd be this guy or gal found the right thing that everyone loves right away. And they would have a short-term monopoly by default, and the market would then correct itself, and other people would come up and change it, right? Like the idea of Coke and Pepsi is a pretty good example of that. You know, there was a time when Coke was basically a monopoly. And then eventually Pepsi and others came up to kind of knock them down. They're still dominant. Coke still dominates the world, but they're not a monopoly. So I think that's what would happen in a libertarian world. You would have sporadic monopolies pop up here or there, in theory, but they would then be knocked down by, or not knocked down, but brought down, I should say. Then there'd be oligarchies that would happen, and then eventually others would come. And it would be short term, and only the market would say so, right? The market would be the ones who would decide that. So yes. All right. How threatened are our 2A rights and et cetera with the incoming administration? Horribly threatened. And the events last week didn't help. Horribly threatened. Absolutely. Horribly threatened. It's a problem. And they're going to say, see, we can't because they brought guns into the Capitol. So no one gets to have guns. And for those of you who don't know, this happened once before, right? The Black Panthers. Was it the California Capitol? Maybe? I think maybe. I'm not sure. But at one point, about the 60s, so probably 50 years ago or so, the Black Panthers stormed the Capitol with guns. Came in, occupied the Capitol with guns. Yeah. Why? They didn't like gun laws. Because the origin of gun laws is racist. Yes, some of you get mad when I use that word, but it's true. The origin of gun laws is racist. And now it affects everybody. But it was initially back after the Civil War. Can't have former slaves having guns because they might kill the former masters. So we got to start that then. And then the 60s, the Black Panthers, can't have them have guns. Stop it. And the response to that was more gun laws, which is what we're going to see now from this one, right? That was the 60s. This is now, but more gun laws. Guaranteed you'll see that, right? And then what happened in the 60s, the FBI and federal officers, law enforcement, literally murdered all of the leadership of the Black Panthers. You think I'm making that up? Please do your own homework. It's absolutely true. Literally murdered all of the leadership of the Black Panthers. So what will government do this time? They won't murder, but instead they'll silence and put in jail all these leaders. Yep. History repeats itself again. It's not like I didn't know this was coming. This can be seen. This happened before. It will happen again, right? It's going to happen again. So now they won't murder them. They'll instead silence them and put them all in jail. Instead, some of them would rather be murdered, to be forward, but that's what will happen. So I hope that answers your question at least. Yes, we are in trouble. There's no doubt. Yes. All right. Larry, please do an episode solely on cybersecurity and another episode on how big tech has impacted society, focusing on other topics besides censorship of conservatives. We hear enough about this. This is a great point, right? And as I said, I'm making changes here in January. I've been having meetings with my team. We're making changes. One of those things we're going to do is we are going to start not just doing lives, but producing just podcast videos like this. I didn't do it that way in the beginning, right? What I did was I was running this more. I began this show because so many people wanted to have access to me and talk to me, and I wanted to stay involved. I wanted people to talk to me. I wanted to stay involved. I just couldn't do it physically. So I did this show once a week, 2 hours, and people just talk to me. That was the goal of the show. Then it was kind of like a radio show. So I decided, well, I'll do a radio show, a daily radio show every day, 7 o'clock. But now I'm realizing that I may have to make some changes to it. So I'm open to changing. Like I talk the talk. Alexander Sama walk the walk. And you will see probably starting next month, this month or next month, you'll start seeing more of those types of things. Releasing the lives, of course, so I can go back and forth with you guys. I never want to stop this. But I'm also going to add phone calls. I was going to add phone calls this month. It was just too much to add. We'll probably add them next month. And then we'll also have some of those too. So we are making changes coming up here. But I also have a day job. And my team is not full-time. They're all part-timers. So they're all part-timers too. So we're all trying to make that happen. But yes, I'll be doing things like this a lot more. Absolutely, yes. Hope that answers your question. Yes. Excuse me. Maj Sharpe says all the time, all gun laws are racist. Next time we need a protest, let Maj lead the way. Yes, Maj is correct. He knows, right? That was the beginnings of gun laws. They were racist issues, and they were wrong then, and they're wrong now, and they were racist then. Now they're not as racist at all, but they're still wrong, right? But again, when you try to deal with race issues, also, when you deal with race issues and you use force to deal with race issues, the same thing happens. Bad results. All these issues you should not be using force to deal with them. Absolutely. So, all right. What? Our nation's prohibitions and restrictions had racist roots? Yeah, Josh. Yep, absolutely. Yes. So, let's see if I can keep going here. Thanks, Larry. I like your brain. All right, there we go. How does the Green Party differentiate from Democrats and Libertarians? Green Party is also very different depending upon the state. As a general rule, the Green Party is further left than Democrats. The Green Party, actually, Howie Hawkins, who I had on the show, if you want to check it out, Google Larry Sharpe and Howie Hawkins. I had him on the show. He was the Green Party presidential nominee, and he was also the Socialist Party nominee. Literally, they cross-endorsed him. So the Green Party now is far more socialist than it's ever been. It's always been left and towards that, but now it's straight up socialist. So that's really what it is. The Green Party also is having trouble. It's failing miserably. It does not have good infrastructure. In most states, it doesn't even exist anymore. And the reason is the people who were far left are more embraced now in the Democratic Party. There was a need for the Green Party when the Democratic Party was much more establishment, like during the Clinton years, right? When the Democratic Party during the Clinton years was nowhere near as left as it is now, right? So it was a very different party then. At that point, you need a Green Party because Clinton was not a socialist. So he wasn't there, right? So it didn't work. But as you began to move closer towards socialism, Green Party became less valuable because you can move to the Democratic Party and be part of their wing, the DSA, which is the Democratic Socialists of America. That's a faction right now within the Democratic Party. So why go green when you could just get your far left people in the Democratic Party? There's not a need for it, if that makes any sense. So that's why the Green Party isn't very powerful right now because of that. If the Democrats completely screw over all the socialists in their ranks, which they might if they do that because the establishment is gaining more and more power in the Democratic Party. If that happens, the DSA might break out and become its own party. It's a possibility. I don't know if that will happen, but that might happen. If that happens, the Greens will join that, or they'll join the Green Party. One of those two things will happen, and they'll become one party if the Democrats aren't accepting enough of the far left in their party. That's the Green Party. The Libertarians, depends on the state. As a general rule, again, not 100% rule, the Libertarian Party will lean the opposite of the state. So in New York, it's a blue state. Libertarian Party leans right. In Oklahoma, it's a red state. Libertarian Party leans blue, right? Leans left. So it doesn't mean they are. It just means they'll lean that way, because what happens? If you're in a red state and you're conservative, your government's doing a pretty good job for you in general, right? They care about you. They're pretty good. You don't have a need for a third party because your party is kind of doing its work. If you're in Oklahoma and you're a Democrat, you're in trouble. You're feeling oppressed. So you look for a third party, Libertarians. You're in New York State, it's a blue state. You're conservative, it's not really doing it for you. You're a Democrat, it's working for you. Your people are doing your job. You're conservative, you're looking for a third party. So that's kind of how Libertarians work. They tend to lean the opposite of the state, and they're always against the state, right? Where the Green Party is not against the state, it's for the state. Democrat Party is for the state when it pushes their views. When it doesn't, they're not. So I hope that's clear. Like, Democrats hated cops until they needed them. Then they love cops. So that's how that works, right? Hate the military until they love the military. Then they need them, then they love them. That's how that works. So hope that was clear. All right. Let's see. Government wants to take away their rights to own a gun. Yes. I personally don't own one, but I like the idea of people having them as long as they don't commit crimes with them. I'm with you. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. So let's see here. I'm going to grab a couple more of these. You guys are throwing a lot at me. I appreciate this so much. A polite and armed society is a peaceful society. Yes. Also true. Yes. All right. I'm going to grab a couple more if I can. So many. I appreciate this. All right. Stop your day job and quit whining. We need more Larry. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish my wife would agree. I wish my wife and 2 kids, and my wife does not work, and I live in New York City. You can see how I still have to produce funds. Those you can imagine, when I ran for governor, a year and a half, I did not take a salary. I ran full time. That was my life. Literally, that was my life for a year and a half. And doing that, I still had a wife who does not work and 2 kids. I live in New York City. You can imagine what my bills are and what they were and my debt level. And that debt level has not gone away. I still have debt still from that time. So I have to keep making money. It's why I bug you guys for money all the time, right? I'm trying to build out my team, which is all part-timers. They have bills to pay too. So and my team is amazing. They are doing it for peanuts, if not nothing, as I'm doing it for nothing. So we're just trying to build the thing out. So since I've said that, if you guys care, thank you, Tom. You can support us if you want to. Patreon.com/Sharpe Way. Whatever you can give per month. Per month is always the best, guys. If you can give $10 per month to keep the show going, please do so. It helps tremendously. We got to buy new equipment as I'm building stuff out. We got to buy mixes, all kind of cool stuff. If you've done a podcast, you know what I'm talking about. And I need people to do editing, all that stuff. If you've run a podcast, you know what I mean. So please, if you can, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So yes. All right. Larry Sharpe, Libertarian. Hopefully Patreon doesn't go the communist route, so we can keep supporting you and spreading the message. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%. I hope that's true. Hope I don't have to go OnlyFans or whatever the cool thing of the day is. If I have to go there, I'm gonna have a bad image if I do that, right? Isn't that how that works? Whatever. I'm fine. Get Elon Musk on the show. That would be amazing. Yes, absolutely. That would be amazing. Yes, 100%. It should be said literally 90. Whoa, okay. Mike's not playing games. Okay, Mr. Voss. Okay. 99.994% of gun owners abide the law. Yet national red flag is coming. Terrifying. Oh, man, I wish you were wrong. But you're right. Right. And then I don't know that you're right on that number, but I believe you. Like, I know you. You wouldn't make the number up. So I believe that number. 99.994% of gun owners abide by the law, yet national red flag is yes, right? Because one guy with a gun might come into a building at one point and hurt one of our elites. So take them all away. Yes. And it's not, yes, this is a problem. I agree. Yes. So Larry Sharpe OnlyFans. Yeah, whatever. Let's do it. There we go. Yes. OnlyFans. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna have to go OnlyFans. We'll find another answer. We'll figure out another answer. Absolutely. We'll find an answer if they do that. I hope they don't do that, but I'm sure we will find some form of answer other than OnlyFans. I was teasing. That's it. I was teasing. So let me grab a couple more here if I could. Just for laughs, the hashtag Pelosi loves Trump has been trending on Twitter, and the memes are hilarious. There we go. See? Actually, you know what? Trump helped Pelosi. He didn't. That's not true. That's inaccurate. Let me take that back. Trump didn't help Pelosi. The events of last week helped Pelosi tremendously. Now she has the moral high ground, and she can, cry on TV and all those things. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, just right. The events did absolutely help Trump. That help Pelosi. That's absolutely true. Yes. So I hope I answered that question. All right. Let me keep going here. Let's get King Cuomo to pay you, Larry. He just raised his salary $25K. The state doesn't have. We should rebrand this show as Citizens Therapy to cope with King Cuomo's idiocy. And King Cuomo will need to demand the state subsidize this show. I like that idea. I love that. Great idea. That's amazing. So, all right, guys. I want to say thank you so much for today. I appreciate so many comments. I hope I made what I thought clear. I don't want this violence. Yes, it was bad. And for those of you who didn't support Trump or don't like Trump and are mad at Trump, please be magnanimous. It's not helpful to be mean. Please just be magnanimous. You've won. Just let it go. You've won. Keep moving. And I know people don't want to do that, but if you're not a Trump supporter, bring them aboard. If you are a Trump supporter, the violence isn't helpful. It doesn't help. If you want to make changes, you can. It's through getting people to believe in you and getting more people to believe. Yelling at each other, and we do it all the time, left and right, is not helpful, even if it's righteous. And I know people say it, no justice, no peace. I saw that today. No justice, no peace. How has that worked out for the Black communities in America, right? That hasn't been helpful either. It isn't helpful. And I'm trying to do what is helpful. That's what I want. And I hope we can make that happen. Guys, have a great night. I will see you all